Good morning everyone, this is Diane. I'm making this video ahead of time. I'm going to be away for a week in October, so the second week of October. So I'm going to have a few videos made up ahead of time, just not for a specific journal project, but maybe some collaging and some ephemera making. Today's video is ephemera making. So it's kind of a Stashistry slash Scrapistry because I'm using scraps and stash, and it's also Somerset inspired. So we get a combination, and we have 4 different pieces of ephemera that we'll be making today. This is the first inspiration, and it is these paper hearts that are stamped and a button is on them. It's pretty simple. And then they're backed with lace and linen. I'm not going to do that part. I'm just going to make this part, and then when I get to use them, I'll glue them onto something pretty. So I did make 6 of them already. They're very quick and very easy. The thing that takes the longest is putting the thread through the buttons. So I'm going to make some more now. I already stamped, get all these things out of the way. I already stamped my background stamp onto some Manila file folder. You can use any cardstock that you have. I just need to use up some of my Manila folder pieces that are taking up some room in my drawer. So I have that stamped. I have my heart punch. So I want it, since I used a script stamp, I want to make sure I have it right side up in the heart. So I'm just going to punch out hearts, and I was able to get 6 out of this background stamp. And normally I kind of punch around the corner, around the border when I'm punching out stuff, but I have to keep it right side up. Maybe I could save that and use it for something. So I've got 6 hearts punched out. I'm only going to make 1 completed piece here, but I've got 6 vintage buttons selected. They're good sized buttons. They could be smaller. They could be, you could do whatever color you wanted to do, but I just like the all cream look. So I'm going to get a piece of embroidery floss in cream, of course, and just thread it through my holes. So I go down through the top. Maybe I didn't put it on a needle because the holes are big enough, I think. Yep. And then up. Sorry, I have to have it close to my face so I can see what I'm doing. So it's up there, and just tie it in a knot. You could tie it in a bow if you want. Just make sure you cut your thread long enough that you're not going to have to struggle to tie. This embroidery floss isn't that expensive. And if you try to economize and cut it too short, you're going to struggle. These are just plain, just the script stamped on a piece of paper and the button. But I wanted to put a little bit of lace behind my button. So, can you see it there? It's a piece of a wedding dress sleeve. For this one, and that's a cream color, but this one I want to use a little white piece. Maybe it'll show up a little more. I'm just going to cut a little square out of my white lace. I want it big enough so it'll show around the button. And that's a pretty big button. This might not be big enough. It does show, but I'll save that one for that button that's a little smaller. I'll cut it big and I can always trim it. It's definitely too big, but just kind of trim it around the button. And then we just glue it on. I'll just put a little Fabri-Tac glue and then some more on the back of the button. So I'm using some of my stash of lace, tiny piece, and my vintage buttons and scraps of Manila file folder. And I can finish the rest of these later, but there we go. And then when I'm ready to use them, I can glue them to whatever I want, but I really like the way they look on this lace and linen. So have fun playing with different colors, different background stamps. Just use pattern paper if you don't have background stamps. I mean, you don't even need a background stamp. You just need a small stamp, because you don't have to do a whole page of 6. Next, I saw this, and it is pages of music that are cut very small and cut with the fancy scissors, and then some pink ribbon shirred up on them with a long pin stuck in it. Well, I don't want to use the pin, and I want the little booklet that so you can write on it. So I didn't use music paper, but I did use some ledger paper, some scraps of ledger paper. And I don't think I had one that I completed, and I don't know where it is. It's probably buried in the pile on the other side of my desk. But this one is almost completed. So I just took I had long horizontal scraps of ledger paper. So this was perfect for this idea. So they're just a little bit longer than I would normally make them, I think, to accommodate the square and then have space for a little ribbon on the side. But that's the way these are. So these don't have anything sewn to the front. It's just music paper and then the shirred ribbon. And I did not use the fancy scissors. I just took that idea to take these Bible verse cards and make little booklets. So I just took 3 pieces. So the front piece is the piece that I needed for the right size for the cards. Inside, they need to be within the height, unless you want them sticking out, it doesn't matter. And then any length in there. So these are shorter in this book. And so then I just sewed the card to the front, and then this ribbon. It's actually silk ribbon for embroidery, because it's narrower than regular ribbon. And then I stitched the seam down the center. And my original one that I made, I took a pink floral applique, vintage applique, and glued it on. I don't have, mostly what I have in these vintage, actually it's not a vintage applique that I used. Let me show you. I got this spool at Hobby Lobby the last time I was there. So you can cut these off. I didn't really need this because I have a ton of pink vintage appliques. I don't have any other colors anymore. They're gone because it was mostly pink. Oh, there are some red, but I don't use red that much. So I have this little bow, and this is a vintage applique. So I'm just going to put that on. You could embellish with a button or just a little scrap of lace, or don't embellish it at all. So you can see the difference between my inspiration and my finished result, but you can also see that I got my inspiration from that. And here's another one. Now this one, I forgot I sewed the ribbon to the card itself instead of on the spine of the booklet, but I added a piece of little green gingham there to fill in that space, and I didn't sew it down, so I'm gonna put a little glue underneath it. I think I need to fill my bottle. And then add another of these cream colored or beige colored bows. So this one is made with a scrap of green, pale green parchment paper, but it's got some ledger inside as well as another piece of parchment. And this one I'm going to do with you. So I already sewed on the card, the scripture card. I love the colors, and I already have some ribbon and appliques ready and waiting. So I'm going to start by sewing this on. Well, I already started by sewing the scripture card on. So I put my ribbon where I want it and put the needle down in it, but I don't put the foot down yet. And then I just kind of push the ribbon up any old which way and then put the foot down. And then you go slowly enough that you can continue pushing the ribbon up under the foot, and that will just make a messy gather. I didn't get the end of that ribbon. Sometimes zigzag is better because you get a wider you catch more in. Let's put it that way. So there's a messy gathered piece of ribbon. This isn't tacked down, but it's okay because it's tacked down above and below it. And I will sew the pages inside. I woke up in the night and couldn't get back to sleep, so I was in here starting on some of these projects. I did some of those hearts, and I did one of these booklets, and then prepped the rest of the booklets. And I did one of the next project I'm going to show you, all in the middle of the night. Oops. Okay, so now I have 4 little booklets done, because I have another one that has pink in it. Oh, I didn't put the applique on it. So I have this blue, larger flower, and a blue butterfly. So let's see which one we like the best. I like the butterfly better. And these will actually go in the scripture journals that I'm working on. I'm going to be working on them next week. Today is Saturday, but hopefully by the time you see this video while I'm away, these scripture journals will already be done. Next, I have some little primitive looking pockets, and they are inspired by this from Somerset. A scrapbook paper and ledger paper, or this looks like ledger, but it's actually scrapbook paper, so this might be too. And it's got a little primitive heart sewn on it, and it's a pocket. So that's pretty easy. I made 3 of them. And 4. I made 4 of them. This was a stamped heart, and these I just drew on the back of a scrap of paper, just drew a primitive heart shape and cut it out. And I put this one up at the top to just kind of balance out this design that's in the corner. But I can put them on a page as a tuck spot. It'll be a narrow tuck spot, but I think they're fun. I used pinking shears to cut across the top. So I have some pieces here. This will be the background, this will be the front, and then I have some little hearts cut out. I brought everything but my pencil. So I'll take my background piece, and I'm not measuring, it's not going to be even. These are primitive, so they are not completely, what do you call it, when both sides match? You know what I'm trying to say. So I'm just drawing them. So whatever shape they are, I can adjust it when I cut too. So I'm just gonna make it about that tall and just draw a U shape. This is a big pocket. Let's make it a little smaller. I've got a lot of sketch lines there. Which one am I going to cut on? Okay. And then for this piece, I'll flip it over. So I draw on the back. Okay, here's what I did. I put the big piece on it and drew around it and then cut inside the lines. You could make your smaller piece first and then trace around it and then cut outside the lines. But I wanted to cut my big piece first to give me an idea of, I kind of wanted to be more in control of the size of the pocket. Oh, I'm not cutting inside the lines enough. I need to make it smaller. Keep those numbers up at the top. So it's pretty simple. Just cut out your two shapes and your little primitive heart. I'm going to have to cut a heart out of a different color because it blends in too much. I could use it this way, but I really like the ledger lines. So I'm just going to get a scrap, look for a red scrap. Why don't I have any red scraps? There's a dotted one. Different kind of a dot. So I'll just, on the paper, on the back of it, draw a primitive heart. Tall, skinny heart. Make yours any way you want to. Maybe I want it a little bigger. Cut it out. And I'm just going to sew it on. I used brown thread for the other ones, but I'm using white thread or cream colored thread for the other projects, and I don't want to switch back and forth. just doing some messy stitching up and down. So it looks like that. And now I will just sew it. You can leave the top open if you want to and make it a double pocket, but I'm just sewing it down, and then you can write on this part in addition to whatever you stick inside the pocket. I stitch around it twice with messy stitching. And then the second pass across the top, I just use zigzag stitch just for fun. Kind of mimics the pinking at the top. And then all you have to do is adhere this pocket down to a page. That was project number 3. These are all quick and easy. The next one is a manila tag, which I cut from my manila file folder pieces. So I'm still using up some of that. I have some copy dyed tracing paper, and I have a huge stash of digital journaling cards, so I'm using a few of those for this. So this is my finished project. I cut the tracing paper to match the tag, and then sewed a little snippet of a handkerchief here. It's got little pink threads that you can hardly see because they're covered. And then I added this journaling card and some more of that silk ribbon. And then this is a piece of the pink lining fabric that I got in a Happy Mail from Donna. I just tore it in a strip and made a big fat bow at the top. So let's make one of these. I'm just going to sew around the tag, trying very hard to keep the tracing paper in place. And I want a straight stitch. And I'm trying to stay as close to the edge as I can because I don't want the tissue paper, tracing paper, to be peeling up, getting pushed up, but it will. I can't get exactly close to the edge, and that will just add to the vintage look, having the edges crumple. But I can try to make it as unobtrusive as possible. Now I just need a little snippet of something on here. It can be lace, it can be fabric, whatever. There's a little piece of, oh, that's cute. Pink gingham with flowers on it. Where'd I put the other piece? I can't remember what else I put on there. just showed you the finished tag, and now I don't know where I put it. Oh, it's right there. Oh, it's the... Oh my goodness. Well, I told you I couldn't sleep last night. That's my excuse for today. One thing I didn't do was get out some more of the silk ribbon. But I've got it right here. Everything doesn't have to be pink, so I'll put some green on this one. I'm going to kill two birds with one stone and sew this on and then continue around the card sewing it on. I'm going to cut that little fold thing off because I don't want to fight with it. Put the needle down and push the ribbon up under. This is a little more difficult than doing it with seam binding, I think, because it's so narrow. This is not a Somerset inspired project. I saw this on a video, don't remember what, of someone that adhered a piece of coffee dyed tracing paper to cardstock to make a tag, and I thought that was cool. And you can write on the back. And I'm just going to punch the hole. And I have more of the pink lining, but I also have this piece of sheer, which Donna also sent me, I think. I think Donna sent this to me. I also have some from a wedding gown, but I think this is what I just got from her yesterday. Can't tear this. So I just tried to even up that edge. And now I will cut a piece that I can make a bow out of. Let's try folding it. Slippery stuff. Just kind of wad that up so I can get it through the hole. And tie a knot and a bow. and fiddle with it till you like it. Okay, there's that one. And I have 2 more cut and ready to make. So let's recap. We did this embellishment, very easy. And we did these little booklets, also very easy. And we did these pockets, very easy. These are all quick and easy projects, using up scraps and stash, some of our stash. And we did some tags that are very pretty. So these will be nice to have in my stash that I can just pull out and put into a journal. But make them grungier if you want to. This coffee dyed tissue tracing paper can look pretty grungy, so use a more vintage looking digi and embellishments, and whatever you put in the top, make it twine or whatever you have. Make it to fit the style of your style of journals. So I hope you found some inspiration here, and let me know if you want more of these types of videos. I'm really struggling trying to come up with videos that people actually watch. I don't understand why my subscriber numbers grow every week, but my the views per video do not grow. In fact, they're going down right now, so I don't understand what that's all about. So I'll probably be backing off on some videos, like not doing so many, especially now that flea markets might be slowing down. But maybe 3 videos a week or something. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So tell me if this is something that you'd like to see more of. Tell me what kind of videos you want to see from me. What do you like? When you see a new video of mine come up, what makes you happy and say, oh, I want to watch that video? What kind of content is it that you're interested in from me? Help me out with that. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful week and a creative day. Bye-bye.